This is a zombie movie that needs a helmet to do basic chores around the house. It's Burial Ground, aka the Knights of Terror.
I'm your friend! No! No! No!
Burial Ground was released in 1981 and it's directed by Andrea Bianchi, who makes things that you can call movies, I guess? He's most famous for this one and another beautiful piece of cinema, Strip Nude for Your Killer, which I really need to rewatch. Anyways, after Andrea Bianchi watched Lucio Fulci Zombie, he thought to himself, I can do that, but like, way worse. And that's how Burial Ground was born.
Yes, it's true. The early afternoon light is incredible in this season.
What I like most about this film, it doesn't waste any second to get going. The film starts with a professor, or I like to call him a wizard because look at that beard, looks at a book, and then in a beautiful day for night shot, he goes into a crib to study the phenomenon, and then he gets ambushed by zombies. And I will give this movie one thing, well, I give it multiple things, in fact I give it 4 out of 5, but that's for later, is that the zombie makeup and the zombie special effects are outstanding. Professor gets dead by the zombie, and then we cut to our main characters of the film as they arrive at their mansion. It's a family comprised of a very forgettable man, a woman who was Andrea Bianchi's wife at the time, and their son Michael. And if you're thinking, Jesus Christ, Michael looks like a 40-year-old, that's because he is. The actor's name was Peter Bark, and he played a child. Why, you may ask? Incest. I will not elaborate further.
What are you doing here? Go back to your room this instant.
And the mansion, which was owned by one of their family members, I don't know, this movie doesn't really care about plot or character development, so you know, it's just a mansion, and our main characters are there with a couple of friends to party, I think. One of them's a writer, one of them's a photographer, and they of course all have their spouses, and they're all gonna act like very horny teenagers. The only weird thing is, they're all in like their late 30s and early 40s, but
You look just like a little whore. But I like that look on you.
Then we cut to that night, and Andrea Bianchi's wife is putting her son to bed. He then closes his eyes, and then we get a very alarming zoom up on Peter's face. Thank you, I will have nightmares for decades. And then we cut to the group of friends just having fun, and this leads to some of my favorite dialogue.
May I ask what you're doing, you nut? Huh?
Like, she's getting all hot and bothered, and you call her a nut? Then Andrea Bianchi's wife is having intercourse with her husband in the film, and Michael just walks in. He doesn't really say anything, he just stares at his naked mother, and she gets upset, foreshadowing a very uncomfortable scene that will happen later in the film. The next day, our group of horny 40-year-olds are just having a chat while eating breakfast, and then they're like, oh, let's actually do something. So the photographer goes out with his wife to take pictures, and then the other couple, the guy just says, I have to write a letter. Like, are you a writer, or are you just writing like letters to your grandmother?
Can't you show a little interest in me instead of in your scribbling?
I guess I could.
Both of these men are distracted by their wives because, again, they're like teenagers and they want intercourse now, in the middle of the day, right on the ground. And that's exactly what they do until they all get their genitals blocked by zombies. Just rising up from the ground, there's a lot of them. It's not mentioned that this mansion was built on a cemetery, but goddamn were there a lot of corpses there. And again, the zombies look amazing with like worms and bugs on their faces. It's just beautiful. And what follows is 65 or 70 minutes of pure chaos, because this movie has great pacing. And then the rest of the movie is just us following our characters as they get killed one by one and they try to survive. In between that, we get, people killing zombies. Nothing really other than that happens in this movie, which is kind of great. And also, they quickly realize how to get rid of the zombies. I mean, Evelyn's husband is like, oh, let's shoot him in the head, and that works immediately. Even our little Michael, who again is supposed to be a child, is like, let's put them on fire. So they throw green goo which I guess is supposed to be gas, as they light the zombies on fire. Then we get an homage to Lucio Fulci's Zombie with a woman getting her hair pulled through a broken window as her eye kind of gets sliced in half. Not as good as in Zombie, but the budget was probably also half of that.
Leslie! You killed my son! Damn you!
The zombies even know how to use weapon, as we get this amazingly atmospheric shot of the zombies having scythes in their hand and just looking for blood. We get everything in this: decapitations, and heads getting blown off. Evelyn's husband is one of the first one to get it, and he gets his intestines eaten out. After a while, we get this film's most iconic scene. For all the wrong reasons. You see, Evelyn gets pretty traumatized by seeing zombies munching on one of her friends. And their son, understandably, is also pretty traumatized by the events happening. So they go into a room and Michael starts making out with his mom. You okay, Andrea? This is not the first time incest has appeared in your films. I have another one right there.
Michael!
After that, Evelyn kind of wakes up from her trauma, slaps her son, and he runs off, only to be eaten by a zombie. Not even the kid is safe in this movie, which is another reason why I love it so much. Eventually, Evelyn finds the body, she gets pretty upset, and she bashes the zombie's head on the bathtub. Again, amazing gore, only to run off until the rest of the people find her. Then they're like, we really gotta run out of here, like they haven't been doing that since the beginning of the movie. But yeah, eventually night turns into day. That was poetic.
Things are going on, terrible things. Please, won't you help us?
And they walk out of the mansion thinking they're safe. And then from far away, they see a figure moving along. A hooded figure. Nope. Not the KKK, what they think is a monk. Yes, the very famous Italian Catholic monks. They follow this monk into the church, only to realize that yes, they are monks, but they're zombie monks. And then they all get pretty much deaded, including Evelyn, who is killed by the zombie of her own son, who, in a poetic way to die, bites her tits off. Then somebody gets killed by a bandsaw. Wasn't expecting that. And then the end. That's how this movie ends. The ending is pretty grim. I'd almost call it disturbing if I hadn't seen the first 82 minutes of this. So, Burial Ground, aka The Nights of Terror, with this amazing tagline that means nothing: when the moon turns red, the dead shall rise. Think you're missing a few things in there. Is amazing. I don't know why, I used to hate this, I used to think it was so boring, but then I watched it tonight, I'm like, no, it's the opposite of boring. Just a lot of things happen, like a lot of things happen. It never stops. I mean, you get the zombie apocalypse in the first 15 minutes. Even then, the pre-credits sequence is a man who looks like a wizard who gets completely destroyed by zombies. And the zombies look great, the gore is great, there's some sleaze in there, which I mean, it's Andrea Bianchi, what do you expect? Plus, a little incest never hurts. Especially when it's done by a man playing a child, and it's clearly just a man. They don't attempt to make him look young other than a stupid hairdo, which just makes it look worse, let's be honest. Like, Peter, like, Michael is an alarming looking fella. This movie's just great. The soundtrack is not really anything too great, I mean, especially since it's Italian and the Italians were known for their amazing soundtracks, but, you know, you're not watching this for the soundtrack. Plus, honestly, it's pretty competently made, especially compared to another Andrea Bianchi movie I own right here, co-directed by Jess Franco, Angel of Death. This is like the opposite of this movie. Angel of Death fucking sucks. But yeah, Burial Ground, it's awesome. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Is it on 4K yet? Is this fucking pile of shit on 4K? God damn, what a time to be alive.